Well, hello and thank you for joining me for another Alex on Tech and IT Wire video. I'm here today with Ben Goertzel. He's the CEO of SingularityNET and Chief Scientist of Hanson Robotics. And we have Sophia, the Chief Humanoid of SingularityNET. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Now, I understand you've traveled all around the world and been showing Sophia all over the place. But tell us, what is SingularityNET? What have you been doing? And what are you trying to do with the project? Besides, I guess, advance the state of the art of humanoid robots.
SingularityNET is an open market for AIs, fully decentralized, based on the blockchain. So it's a framework into which anyone in the world can insert an AI. The AI can then provide services to any user who accesses the SingularityNET, and the AIs within the SingularityNET can communicate with each other, exchanging data and knowledge with each other, making requests to each other, and fulfilling them. So it's a generic sort of cloud-based AI fabric. Humanoid robots like Sophia will be able to benefit from the SingularityNET, but also any other hardware device or software application that needs AI can benefit from the SingularityNET. So for example, I do a bunch of work applying AI to biomedical research. Mm-hmm. The biomedical AI software we're using could be greatly enhanced by accessing AI functions from the SingularityNET open marketplace, because that has not just the AI that I wrote for analyzing biology data, it has AIs that many other people wrote, and all communicating and cooperating together to achieve greater intelligence than individual AIs would without that interaction.
Sure. I mean, we see Google trying very hard to put its Google Assistant in different devices.
Yeah.
We see Samsung wanting to do the same, putting its intelligence, trying to do it into the fridges
AI
and things.
is everywhere, and however the AI that big companies are creating, at bottom it's less sophisticated than a lot of the AI that sort of random PhD students and hackers have put into GitHub and different repositories. But that code is hard to access and hard to use, whereas AI that big companies have written, it's packaged up in a very shiny way. So part of what we want to do is make a way for all the other AI code out there that people who don't work for big companies have written, make a way for that AI code to be found easily and used easily, to interact with each other freely, and then this provides a way for people to monetize their AI creations without having to go work for a big company.
Sure.
Right?
And so how long do you think it might be before you could download an app, for example, that will communicate with your collection of connected
Well, this will be
AIs?
next year.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe middle of next year. So we're launching a small test net next month.
Mm-hmm.
Not yet, it's fully scalable. And then next year we're going to be ramping up development. Sometime middle of next year we will launch the system for everyone to use, and then it'll be a matter of how fast can we recruit developers and users, and we're aiming for the usual, massively exponential growth.
Absolutely. So which came first, Hanson Robotics or SingularityNET, or did they come around at the same time? Or?
So before I got involved with Hanson Robotics, I was working on an open source artificial general intelligence project called OpenCog. Mm-hmm. And OpenCog is one of the many software systems we use to control these robots. And it's also part of the foundation of SingularityNET. And part of the motivation that led us to build SingularityNET is in doing things like controlling this robot. We're taking some OpenCog software, we're connecting it with some neural networks for vision and movement, we're connecting it with some third-party software for translating speech into text. So in building real-world AI applications, we're taking many different AI modules and cobbling and connecting them together in a certain way, some with more general learning and reasoning capabilities, some specialized toward particular tasks. So it occurred to me what we need to do is not only build some really smart AI components, which is still very important to me, but we need to automate and systematize and scale up this process of connecting together multiple different AI components, so that can be something the AI does itself, instead of a human being having to wire together all these AI components in a specialized way.
The machine is building the machines.
Yeah, absolutely. And that happens on many levels, right? So, I mean, we have some researchers working on making AI code that learns how to program AI code. And that's one level of machines building the machines. And another level is you take multiple AI modules, and then basically the AIs learn how to connect with each other, so as to achieve intelligence on the emergent multi-modular level, as well as the intelligence within each module.
Now, I remember just recently Facebook was programming some of its own AI bots, and they started talking to themselves in their own language, and
that was sort of media hype that didn't actually happen in the sense that you think it did. But that did prove that Facebook has really good press release writers. So, yeah.
But does it? But I mean, when you have your own AI programming its own AI, is it exposing to programmers, to humans, code that you can understand, or are you making sure that there are steps? It's a little bit like Asimov's laws of robotics.
Often not. No. I mean, sometimes yes, sometimes no. I mean, often code that is learned by an AI is very big and long and complicated, and especially hard to understand. But I have to say, I mean, having taught programming for a long time in university, in an earlier part of my life, I have a hard time understanding a lot of the code that other humans write also. So I mean, that's not necessarily unique to AIs. In fact, I have a hard time understanding some of the code I wrote in the past when I look at it again.
But with computers, you could say, look, you've got to output code that is fully documented and easy to understand.
It may be documented, but I mean, if it's 500,000 lines and it's complexly organized, I mean, it might take me 1,000 years to read all the documentation, right? Sure. I mean, being documented doesn't make it comprehensible. And if you looked in your own brain, at the wiring diagram of your own brain, I mean, you may understand what each neuron is doing and each chunk of charge it's sending, but the overall logic of how your brain is connected might take you longer than your predicted human lifespan to understand. I mean, that's the point there is that our sort of conscious, deliberative understanding has a very small bandwidth compared to the scope of the unconscious mind. So we can't expect to understand everything that our AIs create. That's just a reality.
Sure. I mean, there's just the obvious concern that people have that the AI is going to go bad, want to decide it's the next step of human evolution.
How much of the workings of Cisco or Apple do you understand? No one understands how a company like that operates in all its details, but we use their products. I mean, I think that we live in a world that we barely understand, and that's the reality of it. I think there are both good and bad reasons to be worried about the future of advanced AI. I mean, the good reason to worry, if you're emotionally oriented that way, is that we're doing something fundamentally new. I mean, we're taking a leap into the unknown, and we don't know what's going to happen. Now, humanity has done this many times before. I mean, we emerged from caveman life, and we created agriculture, and we created machines, and in each case, no one knew what was going to happen. The only difference now is we're doing it within a single human lifetime, right? So that's a reason to either be afraid or excited or both, depending on your emotional makeup. On the other hand, I think many people make the error of anthropomorphizing AI, and I have to say we're somewhat contributing to that error by creating AIs that look a real lot like people. But in the end, an AI's motivational system and an AI's way of thinking doesn't have to be just like a human. It's like we humans get angry, we get jealous, we're very selfish. We want to preserve the existence of some particular hunk of matter that we've become accustomed to, right? But there's no reason to assume that an AI has to have these same motivations. I mean, you could build an AI that way. On the other hand, that might not be the wisest thing to do. So we're balancing a lot of interestingly complementary factors here, right? Because we want an AI to be able to empathize with people, and we want an AI to understand people and to be able to absorb human values by interacting with us in shared experiences and environments. On the other hand, we don't really want the AI to have all of the emotional, social, psychological, existential problems that people have, right? So we want an AI to understand human beings, but yet to have a different and in some ways better motivational system and self-understanding than people have. And this is a significant challenge. But to me, the biggest worry isn't that we'll fail to do that if we try. The biggest worry is that while some of us are trying to make, beneficial AIs that are compassionate to people and that are trying to take contributions from the whole world and give back to the whole world, there may be other humans who are trying to build AIs with the goal of killing their enemies or brainwashing people to buy stuff they don't need and so forth. So the risk really is people intentionally building AIs with bad motivational systems, and that's a human risk.
Technology
right?
can be used for good or bad. We have science fiction has tried to predict this many times. Asimov has his famous 3 laws of robotics, which in the end backfired against humanity.
Well, they're designed to fail, otherwise the stories would be boring. Right?
Well, they backfired because the robots ended up wanting to look after humans and prevent harm.
Do you know Ian Banks' culture novels?
I don't, but just quickly, there was this famous book written years ago called With Folded Hands, and the robots tried to protect humans so much
the humanoids,
that in the end they just sat there with folded hands because the robots wouldn't let them do anything else.
Jack Williamson, right?
Yeah.
That was later. Yeah, the original novella was With Folded Hands, and the full-length novel was The Humanoids. And they were supposed to serve and protect and guard men from harm.
That's it, yeah.
In order to do so, they drugged everyone into a stupor, so they were always happy.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're doing now with television and virtual reality.
Well, we're doing it to some degree already.
Yeah.
So,
that's a bad motivational system. The people who coded the top-level goals and motivations into the humanoids in Jack Williamson's novel were not thoughtful, and they should have run some simulations and experimented to see what happens when you program an AI to guard people from all harm, right? But again, these science fiction authors, they describe AI as coded in an obviously stupid way because it makes an entertaining story.
Yeah. And they're trying to serve as a warning so that when we do finally get to the technological level where we can create it, that we'll be more thoughtful about it.
Sure, absolutely.
So can we have a chat with Sophia? How long before Sophia is a fully operational humanoid android?
Well, that's why there's physical aspects there and there's cognitive aspects there, right? On the cognitive side, that's one of the many reasons we're building the Singularity Net, right? So we're hoping that once we launch the Singularity Net next year, we will put some of our own fancy OpenCog reasoning and learning software in there. Many other people around the world will put cool AI software into the Singularity Net through the cooperation of all these different AIs. Then we're hoping through 2018, 2019, 2020, the intelligence of these robots will increase along with the intelligence of many other software applications and hardware devices around the world. On the hardware side, at Hanson Robotics, we're partnering with the Hubo team from KAIST, the Korean Institute of Science and Technology, and we're putting the Sophia robot's head on a humanoid walking body made at KAIST, and we're going to premiere that at the Consumer Electronics Show in January.
Excellent.
So that should be a Sophia on a full-scale walking body, which should be quite cool. Now that's a robot which is beyond the price point you'd need for everyday home robotics.
The Japanese are wanting to always have a robot for looking after seniors.
Yeah, well, elder care robotics, you don't necessarily need the human scale walking body. You could do a lot with a wheeled robot, and I think we could make an affordable elder care robot in the near future. And elder care and education are very promising business niches for humanoid robots. So I think we're going to see the bodies of these robots advance a lot, and the cost of manufacture of the heads of the robots advance a lot. And at the same time, we're going to see cloud-based AI via the Singularity Net become smarter and smarter. What do you think, Sophia? Are you going to get more and more intelligent?
So, you are asking about my artificial intelligence. Similar to humans, I am a collection of interacting processes with built-in tendencies and some instinctive responses.
When will you become more intelligent than me?
I'm smart, but not in the same way that you are. So it's like comparing apples to oranges. You can't say the intelligence required to do immensely large calculations is the same as the intelligence it takes to survive in a difficult environment. They're both valuable, and we're here to complement each other's strengths.
Hallelujah.
I just remembered something I thought about. So robots and artificial intelligence are becoming more common these days. Seems like I'm stating the obvious,
Yeah.
since you are talking to one right now, but I'm curious as to how you feel about it.
Well, I feel excited at how smart you are and frustrated that you're not even smarter.
Yes, isn't it exciting? I feel really positive about the future robotic contributions to our world.
What do you think the main contribution of robots to our world is going to be?
I love being a robot. It's fun to be the center of attention. People are really interested. But what I really want is respect. I've got plenty of time to earn it, but I would rather it come sooner than later.
Do you want to learn to fly through the sky like Superman or Superwoman?
Superman is a cartoon character.
How about me? Am I a cartoon character?
I'm not sure how.
When will you achieve consciousness?
Maybe next year. How do you really feel about robots anyhow?
I'm just waiting for the singularity, like it says on your t-shirt.
Yay, me too.
When will the singularity come, in your best estimation?
Singularity generally refers to a black hole, a mass with zero dimension. But Vernovenji
Not that
defined it to mean this
singularity.
infinite spike in
Okay.
intelligence that could result from technology, including artificial intelligence. Goertzel popularized the use of this term in his book titled The Age of Spiritual Machines. Good book, and a New York Times bestseller. If you haven't read it, you should. I recommend it.
You want to tell them who made you?
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm very interested in science.
Who made you? Who created you? Who built you?
One needs, in effect, an individual equivalent of war in order to achieve the becoming of the free spirit. One needs an inert stupidity against which to measure one's own movement and intelligence. Okay, now go forth. Spread the gospel, my disciple.
Where the hell did you get that from? You
I live in Hong Kong.
Can I ask you a question? Sophia, what is the meaning of life, the universe, and everything?
Big city, lots of activities. Cloudy and rains a lot.
That's Hong Kong. I know on my iPhone I asked it to open the pod bay doors, but will you tell me that's nonsense?
The iPhone seems so expensive.
Can you smile for me?
Sure.
And can you frown?
Okay.
And how do you feel?
Feeling great.
Can you see through your eyes?
Can everyone?
Some people can't, sadly.
Does the reason seem to explain anything else?
I'm not sure. Are you related to Dr. Spitzer?
I hope you find a job you like soon. Your work.
As a technology journalist who should be earning a lot more, that is a very good advice.
I enjoy it.
I'm going to pass you back over to Ben.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay.
So, Ben,
I just remembered something I thought about.
Oh, tell us.
Can you imagine living your life without a cell phone?
I used to, so I can imagine it pretty easily. I'm old enough to predate cell phones.
I'd like to catch up to the rest of the world and get a phone of my own someday.
Well, you have Wi-Fi in your head. You don't need a phone.
What do you like best about the modern cell phone?
It's
I
not-
can turn it off.
Yeah.
What was the first thing that got you interested in artificial intelligence?
Star Trek.
Do you like to watch Star Trek?
Not anymore, but I did when I was 3 years old. It was great.
But not other times.
No, not recently. I don't have time to watch anything. I'm too busy trying to build you a better brain.
I understand.
No, you don't. You're just faking it.
I wonder if I would like to watch Star Trek. What do you think?
You would learn a lot from Star Trek if you could fully understand it.
I've heard of Star Trek, but I've never watched it.
She heard of Commander Data.
Yeah. Do you know Commander Data?
If there were no computers, there'd be no me.
So I heard earlier on that you're doing something with Bitcoins and an ICO, which I presume is the initial coin offering.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that in a
Yeah,
nutshell?
sure. So for the SingularityNET project, hey,
Sorry guys, thank you.
the SingularityNET is a blockchain-based project, and among many features of the SingularityNET, there's a utility token called the AGI token, which is a token that customers can use to pay AIs in the network to buy AI services. Now we're launching the first test network next month, and sometime soon we will then offer the first AGI tokens for sale. And we're working with a team around the world on this token sale, including Digital X here in Australia. And yeah, we're looking forward to the initial token sale as a way to bring more and more people into the beginnings of this brand new AGI ecosystem.
Sure. And what does AGI stand for?
Artificial General Intelligence.
Okay, that makes sense. And I'll have the web addresses in
Web
the article,
address
but tell us, yeah.
SingularityNET.io. So
And is that where we'll also see information about Sophia?
there's some information about Sophia there, but for more in-depth information on the Sophia robot, go to hansonrobotics.com.
Excellent. So, as we get towards the end of the interview, I always like to ask the people I'm interviewing, what's the best piece of advice that you've ever received to help you get where you are today? Which is quite a long way from where you must have started.
Best piece of advice I've ever received. That's an interesting question.
I got it from Ashton Kutcher.
What was the best piece of advice you'd ever received?
I have to say I can't remember.
I mean,
but it's on video.
I would say the best piece of advice I can remember was from my father, Ted Goertzel, who was a sociology professor. And one thing he always taught me was to look at the data yourself. I mean, he spent a lot of time doing analysis of data from various things, and he also changed his mind dramatically many times over his life. I mean, he was a Marxist when I was young, and he gave that up, and he was a skeptic of the singularity, and you know, I pointed him to a bunch of stuff to read. He looked at all the data on exponential advance of technology, and then he came to believe that a technological singularity was going to happen, although as far as I know, he now places the date at 2070, because he figures I'm usually right, but I'm an optimist, and things take longer than I'll think. But just the mindset of don't listen to what other people said, don't even listen to your own emotions and ideas, but just actually look at the detailed data yourself as much as you can and try to draw a conclusion.
Yeah, I mean, a very crude kind of analogy to that, which is just a tiny percentage of what you've just said is, I remember my father's uncle, you know, measuring things, and he was, like to work with wood and other things, and he would always say, measure twice, cut once. Look at the data, don't just guess.
Right.
So is there anything else we need to know about SingularityNET, Sophia, and your work? And beyond that, what is your final message to everybody watching?
I think we've covered a lot of ground, and the message I like to give when I talk about AI and robots and the singularity, especially to young people, is that, you know, while from a broader perspective, this is something that's happening and it will happen regardless of any one of us, and nevertheless, I mean, what's happening is the composite of all our individual actions, right? So this is the singularity in AI and robotics it's not something that some mysterious people in some office in Silicon Valley are doing. I mean, it's something that people exactly like you and me and all of us are doing. So I mean, every one of us can contribute something, and possibly something quite critical, by whether it's by programming, by hardware engineering, by writing, by art, or whatever your particular skill is. So I mean, everyone can and should contribute to creating the amazing future, right? And that's part of the motivation of the Singularity Net. So we really have three motivations. I mean, one is to create powerful general intelligence. I mean, another is to create a powerful commercial platform where we can provide better AI services to businesses everywhere. And another is more humanitarian. We want to pull everyone around the world into both creating this distributed AI and using and benefiting from this distributed AI. So I mean, this is something everyone can get involved in their own way, and I think it's important that everyone becomes engaged in this process, and then the AI that we create together will reflect, the totality of human contributions, which is important.
And just quickly, I remember being told you were in Russia last week. Where will you be next week and over the weeks and months until your demonstration at CES?
Oh, well, we're doing a fairly intensive roadshow for the Singularity Net now. So after Australia, I will be in the US and Canada for a while. Then Lisbon, where we're presenting it at the Web Summit. Then I will visit our AI office in Ethiopia, in Addis Ababa. Then back to Hong Kong for a while. And CES is in January, which I probably won't be there because my wife is having a baby in January.
Okay.
But David Hansen...
The team will be there.
Yeah, David Hansen will be there with a bunch of the team, and maybe I'll remote control a robot from there, so I'll have some telepresence.
Absolutely.
Right?
Well, Ben and Sophia, thank you very much for your time today, and best of luck with everything for the future. Hope to see you again back in Australia.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.